Couple days ago, me and my mom had a phone call. She complained about another colleague being disrespectful to her. It was a lunch break. My mom was having a conversation with her friend in the cafeteria. Their conversation was about wellness. My mom spoke about my grandpa, saying his body lacked some sort of enzyme, so he never had hyperlipidemia in his whole life. Doctor even suggests him to consume more fat. Then a 40-year-old bitch from another table yelled in a weird tone. Yo, your father-in-law knew what is enzyme now. My mom was offended, but her comeback game was pretty weak. She said, how could a BIT professor not knowing what enzyme is? So she came back home still feel right about it. I'm a terrible son. I thought it doesn't even worth it. But I didn't compromise by saying something like, yeah, that bitch is so rude, we should put her in the courtesy jail. Instead, I told her she's in her 40s, which means she was born in the late 70s, which means her parents was born in the 50s, which means her parents had never had college-level education because of Cultural Revolution, which happened from 1966 to 1976. During those 10 years, scholars were framed, nobody was teaching in school. Her parents probably never finished junior high school. In this case, she must be shocked when she heard my grandpa knew something like enzyme, because her parents' generation is stupid as fuck. Imagine how hard it is for her to explain something to her parents. She's probably just jealous of you at worst. And most people find it's kind of pleasant to be jealous of. What is your problem? My mom suddenly realized there's nothing disrespectful, but she's still offended by that weird tone. I don't blame her for that because we all been through this before. We all get annoyed by the people who can be real with their negative feelings. In my mom's situation, her colleague was trying to cover up her jealousy by sounding sarcastic to make other people feel like my mom was bragging, so she didn't have to face her problem of being jealous. It was your fault for trying to make me jealous intentionally by showing off or lying. Now, I'm getting on the high road. Everybody else are on my moral side, and you should be ashamed. She couldn't react like a normal person, saying something like, I'm so jealous of you for having the father-in-law such knowledgeable. You couldn't imagine how hard it is for me to explain doctor's orders to mine, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's how you start a small talk and build relationships with the people you don't know that well. It's completely normal for people to have negative feelings, and I think it's pretty charming for people to open up. But why is it such a big deal for some people to admit their negative feelings? Because they're afraid of being punished once they admit it. To understand it, I need to bring up a basic concept, which is people's gonna get punished when their behavior is against morality. Different culture, different morality, different punishment intensity. In this era, a person who's spreading negativities is considered to be unsociable. Worldwide, no matter where you're from, you don't like to be around with a person who complains all the time, always criticizes with intensive emotions, or even just always looks tired. The punishment for those people is isolation. People are so afraid of social deaths. Nobody wants to be defined as a negative person. Especially for those people who consider their life is dependent on other people's opinion instead of dedication. They're so insecure. They believe admitting they have negative feelings means they're full of negativities. Not to mention, jealousy is one of the 7 sins. Admit they're jealous is like admit they're a sinner. They are afraid of people look at them like their last name is Sin, because not everybody's first name is Johnny. So they don't want to accept they have negative feelings, but that feeling is still there, which leaves them no choice but to pass that negative feeling to other people. Turn out, they become the person who spread negativities, become who they are afraid to be. End up they get isolated. End up they become even more insecure. I guess that's why we need to learn to let go. Because sometimes the harder you try, the harder you fail.